Now the next step is to use the two bump generator to control the blending. The biggest advantage is that to use two bump generators, that you have very fine control over the bump step for each UV or each procedural shader. Right now the bump step is being shared for these two procedural shaders, and that is might not be appropriate sometimes, because you really want to have a very fine control over the actual bump step and details for each procedural. The next step here is to involve two bump generator, and you need to get a matte vector vector. Vector vector means it's vector at the input, and it's going to output a mathematical operation that outputs a vector. So in this case, I'm going to add the two vectors together and connect this one directly to bump. Now I go here and change it to plus, so vector input 1 plus vector input 2. Now I've created this. Now I don't need to use the mixer anymore. I can actually connect this one directly to input, and actually I can create this one directly to input. I do not need to have the texture edit anymore, because now these shader will have their own repeat and patterns and wrap and minimum and maximum range, so you don't need to have these around. So we can actually simplify the render tree greatly by deleting these nodes. Now let's actually go and edit these particular shader here. Now this one was more like 20 plus this value, and we'll just put it to 20 like this. Voila. Now we'll be using the same texture projection for both, and we'll need to increase the vein to 10, 10, 10, which is the same value we put in the texture edit shader that was in between the vector state and the vein shader. Now we'll be having the same control over the tree now, and we should have very similar look. Now the bump map may require to be increased up to a point where the bump mapping, we need to remove the actual clamp value that was off on the other one, and I forgot to actually disable it for this one. So let's put it back to 20. So now we get pretty much the same thing as the other one, and now we have a control over the actual blending or bump map factor for each texture procedural shaders. There's one important thing that you have to remember when you use this technique, is that these bump shaders will do the work twice. This will evaluate this shader 3 times, and this one will evaluate the shader 3 times, and these shaders does some work that are quite similar, so there's some level of duplication in the math or computation, so it will be slightly slower than just having one bump map generator. So this is really important to remember, that more bump generator you add in the render tree, obviously slower the render will be. So that is a good overview of how to blend multiple procedural shaders using the bump map generator and the vector matte vector, and I just hope you enjoyed it. Thanks. Bye bye.